Hi everyone, it's Trisha here from Equine Energetics. And for the last 24 hours or so, I've been doing a pendulum survey using my pendulum, asking a yes/no question for those of you who volunteered your horses and posted their names and pictures. And the question I've been asking is, does this horse know that it's loved? It was something I was curious about. I find when I'm doing animal communication sessions, people want to know whether their horse loves them or likes them, and they also want to know whether their horse knows that they love it. But also I've found reasonably often in the animal communication sessions that I do that quite often horses don't know that they're loved. And so I was curious to find out what the stats were. How many do know they're loved? How many don't? So I did a yes/no survey over the last 24 hours. And the total number that I've done, please don't post any more now, I'm done. I did 188 yes/no questions. And so are you ready? Here's the result. The number of horses in this little survey of mine that know that they are loved was 88%. So that's pretty high, isn't it? 12% were a no. They didn't know that they're loved. I didn't go into any detail about that. I don't have time to do that. If you're interested in knowing more about why your horse was a no, then by all means contact me and book an animal communication session, and we can go into in as much detail as you want. My suspicions are that those horses, so that was 23 horses out of 188. My suspicion is that they would be horses who maybe had a bit of a questionable start to their life, or maybe they've had a lot of owners, been shifted around a lot. Maybe they have had some sort of bad experience in their past. So please don't take it personally if your horse said no, they don't know that they're loved. It's not necessarily a reflection on you. And I suspect also that if we were to do the same survey in the wider horse community, the number of no's would probably be much higher, is my suspicion. But obviously I can't do that. I won't do that without people's permission. So it's speculation. But I feel that people like you who are watching this, who have taken part in this survey, who are interested in the kinds of things that I'm interested in, you're already doing all the right things. And so it's much more likely that your horses do know that they're loved. Hope that's making sense. Let me know what you think if you've got any comments. Hi Sharon, thanks for joining me. So I've got a few comments about the things that came up. A couple of comments about some of the photos that came up. There were quite a few photos there with horses that had very matchy outfits on, which seems to be a real thing at the moment. Very color coordinated, so that was quite fun to see. I think maybe I need to do a thread on my page, a post on my page, and ask you all to post your matchy photos, because it was really funny. It's fun to see them. Now that would be interesting. Do the horses like the colour you've picked for them? Do they like being dressed up like that? Who knows, maybe one day we'll ask. And the other thing that I noticed when I was going through doing them all was some of the names. There was some really cool names in there, unusual names. And the name that stuck out to me the most was a horse called Harvester. If you're the owner of the horse called Harvester, say hello or drop us a comment. I'd love to know, did he come with that name? Do you know why he got called Harvester? I just thought it was a really unusual name. It stood out to me. Oh, thank you, Claire. Yes, I try to be cheerful when I'm doing these. I will go and collapse on the sofa afterwards, of course, but so what else? The only other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, two of the people who got a no from their horse said to me, oh no, that's terrible, what can I do about it? Can you give me any tips? So if you're not sure whether your horse loves you or not, if you didn't get a chance to take part in this survey because it's now closed, or if you got a no, here are some tips for you. You can, assuming that you do love your horse, right? I'm assuming you do. You can verbally tell him that you love him. Make a point of it. Verbally tell your horse how you feel about them, what their place in your life is, how important they are to you, what you like about them. You know, all the same things you would say to a partner, a child, a best friend. Tell them. You could visualize telling them that you love them, or sending them love. So one of the things that I do often and tell people to do is either visualize, you can close your eyes to do this and just kind of breathe deeply and then picture your horse, and then visualize or imagine pink flowing from your heart to their heart. It might be love hearts, it might just be a stream of pink, it might be the word love, whatever works for you, but just send them that love. You might see it surrounding them. They will feel that, and so that can really help too. So those would be the main ways that I would say you can help your horse to understand that you love them. What I've found in the sessions that I do where the horse doesn't know that it's loved, and I said this I think last night as well, but it seems to me that those particular horses, it's not like they're going, oh, nobody loves me, and feeling sorry for themselves. It's more like they just kind of don't have a concept of it in the first place, because they've never felt it for those reasons that I said, you know, that they've never had an owner that showed them any love before, or they've had some bad experience or something. Let's think, anything else? If you have any questions about this, let me know, but I think I've emptied my brain. Sharon says, I do tell Clancy I love you and tell him all my woes and I feel that he understands and feel he loves me too. That's lovely, Sharon. And Haley says, I tell mine always that they're loved and give them lots of cuddles and kisses. Yeah. I've got two mares, and Susie I bred, and she's 28 now. She came all the way from Scotland to New Zealand with me. Love her to bits, and I always tell her she's my #1 horse. She'll always be my #1 horse, even though I have another horse as well. The other one knows she's #2. She seems to accept that. So yeah, in whatever way works for you, tell them. You know, I think sometimes that we think, oh, I do everything for my horse. I buy him the best food, and I get his saddle checked, and he gets the farrier every 6 weeks, and I do this and I do that. I buy them new covers every winter, you know, whatever it is. I've had people say this to me before. I buy my horse all this stuff and I do all this stuff for him and he doesn't appreciate it. They're under no obligation to appreciate that stuff. And you doing the best you can for them is a sort of basic horse owner's obligation. You know, you're supposed to do that stuff. If you don't want to do that stuff, you shouldn't have a horse. But they're not under any obligation to love you because of it. Love is a separate thing. You have to show them that you love them. So with your actions, with your words, with your heart, tell them you love them. Megan says, I tell Magic he is and will always be my #1 man. Yeah, I think they like that. They like to know they're #1. Okay, so I think I covered everything. That was the results of the survey. 12% in our survey, that was 188 horses that I did, 12% don't know that they're loved. And some tips with how you can help them understand that if you fell into that category or if you're not sure. So I hope that was helpful to you, and let me know if you have any other ideas of little surveys we can do, and I'll see you again next time. Keep connecting with your horses.